Hey, we're ready to go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brent. I'm from Company Partners, and I will be doing the webinar today on your business plan, as well as a bit of entrepreneurship as well. So, welcome to everyone out there. Thank you for joining me today. I'm doing this on behalf of the ICBA and Shannon Lecoq. So, the topics I will be discussing today during this webinar will be the foundation of entrepreneurship. So I believe that's very important to understand entrepreneurship before you actually go into business yourself. The second step will be the importance of a business plan. The third step is the structure of the business plan. The fourth step is that we actually at Company Partners have set up a special offer for a business plan for everyone who wants to register your company as well as get a business after this webinar. And then lastly, we're going to have some questions and answers. And I do ask that you keep your questions for after the webinar, that we maybe still be able to answer that during one of the slides. So just keep that for after the webinar. I will put out an additional 30 minutes to answer any questions that you might have regarding the business plans. So as I said, my name is Brent. I'm 28 years old. And I'm a startup business coach, and I'm also head of the business plan department at Company Partners. And just a short bio from me is I've started there at Company Partners I actually started there in 2013 November, and I'm passionate about entrepreneurship as well as startup business. That is really where my dream is to awaken dreams in people, especially with business. So yeah, let's get started with the foundation of entrepreneurship. So I'm going to start with this. As I said earlier, I think it's very important to understand the foundation of entrepreneurship before you go into business, that you know exactly what is waiting on the other side. And also, if you attend me today and you're an accountant, then you can also help your clients to understand the foundation of entrepreneurship. I believe most of the attendees today are entrepreneurs themselves looking to set up their businesses. That's why you are, that's why you are watching this webinar. I just saw some questions there. I will be able to send information after this webinar, so don't worry about that. Okay, so as I said, my mission in life is to awaken impersonal dreams in entrepreneurs and in people. By impersonal dreams, that's exactly what I do mean. It's impersonal. That dream has absolutely nothing to do with you. It is all about serving society, serving the people out there, and helping other people. Especially in South Africa, I think that there's a lot of scope for impersonal dreams with all the stuff that's going on in the country. There's people that is really not as fortunate as the middle class people, and there's a lot of scope to help these people out. But for that to happen, you are going to need an impersonal dream. It's not about you, it's about other people. So the impersonal dream is the foundation of entrepreneurship. If you don't have that impersonal dream, you're not necessarily an entrepreneur. You could be just a businessman or something else, but the entrepreneur is motivated by a dream and a passion in the industry that he's going in. Also, the reason for the impersonal dream is also the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you building business? That is a critical question, especially when it comes to trials and tribulations, failures and setbacks. I think we just cut out this. Not sure about that. I think it's the internet connection. But I'm going to continue. So basically, the why you are doing what you're doing is more important than anything else. If you know why you are doing what you're doing, then nothing will stop you. No setback, no failure, no loss of any kind could stop you from achieving your dream. Sorry, I just paged. Just want to get back to this here. So I hope you are ready. I hope you are ready for this webinar today. I hope you are ready to change the world, your world, and also the industry that you are operating in. And that if you don't have an impersonal dream at the current stage, that after this webinar, I believe you will start to think about an impersonal dream that can change your society, your world, and your community around you. That is possible. So I want to encourage everyone listening there that it is possible for you to change your reality around you. So just a start, if you think of entrepreneurship, there are basically 5 realities of an entrepreneur. The first reality is an entrepreneur is an inventor. So basically an entrepreneur sees the world with wide open eyes and he constantly asks questions. So it's a very curious type of person that asks questions a lot. And out of that questions, you can maybe find solutions and answers to important stuff. The most important question out there is basically when you are looking at an industry and you ask the question, what's missing in this picture? So that is a critical question and that can open up many doors in business. So just think quickly in the industry that you are currently operating in. If you look at that industry, what is missing in this picture? If you can ask that question and answer it successfully, there is an awakened entrepreneur inside of you. And then afterwards, the entrepreneur then goes and he invents a solution to this question. And that's where the entrepreneur is an inventor. Just an add-on here as well. Basically, the entrepreneur goes and he invents his product. And his product is not necessarily the service or the product that he sells, but the product is the whole business. So when I enter a shop, it basically comes down to the whole business. What do I see? What do I feel? What is my first thought about the business? The interaction with the people in the business, and then the product as well. So everything forms a part of this business. That is the product that the entrepreneur is selling in the market. It's not just a service or a product. It's basically the whole spectrum that comes with everything in the business. So that's quite interesting. This is stuff that I have researched, and I found that not a lot of people know about these realities. The second reality is then basically the entrepreneur does not buy business opportunities, they create them. So what I mean with this is basically the passion of an entrepreneur is not to run a successful business, and it's also not to run someone else's business that was invented by someone else, but rather he invents a unique business, a unique solution to a problem, and that becomes his successful business, and he builds that to success. That is the passion of an entrepreneur. So if you think of a franchisor that sells a franchise to someone, that person becomes a franchisee. But that franchisee is not an entrepreneur. He's just a good technician and a good manager that actually knows how to run the system. And the system is invented by the franchisor. So in this case, the franchisor is the entrepreneur, and the guy buying the franchise or buying into the franchise is only a manager or a technician. He knows how to run the system. So just keep that in mind with entrepreneurship. The third reality is that invention is contagious. So an entrepreneur with all of his passion does like the fact that the employees, how can I say, they are enthusiastic about the solution. So he creates the solution, and then he expects the people that takes part in the business, the employees as well as the customers and the clients, if they can be enthusiastic about his invention, this actually fuels the entrepreneur on. So it's like a performer on a stage. As soon as the crowd cheers for this performer, then he's actually going out of his way to give a bigger and a better, what do you call it? Performance. Yeah, performance is the right word there. So invention is contagious. The fourth reality of the entrepreneur is that the success of the invention, which is his business, is measured by growth. So we all know that when something is not growing, it's dying. So it's either one of the two. It needs to grow. No matter how quick it can grow slowly, as long as it's growing, or if it is not growing, it's dying, definitely dying. So there needs to be progress in the business. That is very important. The other thing that I wanted to say here was that, there's something else I wanted to add there, but I forgot. For an entrepreneur, if he's caught up in a business that's not progressing and not growing, then that is doom for him, that is death. So then he needs to get out and create something else that is growing. Okay, the fifth reality is that everyone possesses the ability to be an entrepreneur. So this is something that I want to do, encourage everyone listening now, that entrepreneurs aren't born, they are made. There needs to be the passion and the drive for that creativity to manifest in his life. There needs to be a desire to express the creativity and the innovation. In my personal case, I wasn't born an entrepreneur. I never even knew that I was an entrepreneur until I was 24 years old. So never in the school system or any system that I was growing up in, anybody ever encouraged me to be an entrepreneur. It's always this safe option that's thrown into your face, and you need to study a safe degree, get a safe job, but no one actually motivates people, or children for that matter, to go into entrepreneurship. And I think that is a pity, because there's many people out there with great ideas and great thoughts, but they don't have the confidence to go into entrepreneurship because they don't believe that they're an entrepreneur. So if you were waiting for a sign, this is it. You are an entrepreneur. I believe every person has the ability to grow into an entrepreneur. So just quickly from my side, at age 24, I got a business idea. I went into research and I picked up a book and I started to read up on business, and that was where my entrepreneur awakened. Was literally to get a book, to read the book, and to realize that it's not so difficult to build business and to do business. So if you're wondering how to start, I would actually encourage you to get a book, a good business book, and then take it from there. So that is the 5 realities of an entrepreneur. I'm going to quickly run through that again. So an entrepreneur is, first of all, an inventor. Secondly, an entrepreneur doesn't buy business opportunities, he creates them. Thirdly, I just want to go back there. Thirdly, the entrepreneur believes that invention is contagious. Fourthly, to an entrepreneur, the success of the invention, the business, is measured by growth. And then lastly, everyone possesses the ability to be an entrepreneur. Keep that in mind as we continue in this process. Okay, so basically the foundation of entrepreneurship continues with 4 dimensions that actually define the 5 realities of an entrepreneur. Now, these 4 dimensions are found in every single entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur out there. I'm going to take you through the 4 dimensions, and then I'm also going to give you an example of an excellent entrepreneur that I've recently read his autobiography. I think he's probably one of the most brilliant people that ever lived, and all of these traits were found in him where I picked it up in the book. So basically the first dimension of an entrepreneur is that an entrepreneur has a dream. So he is a dreamer. So as I mentioned earlier in this webinar, it's an impersonal dream. So he has a dream to improve society out there. He has a dream to improve humanity and take humanity forward. And that dream drives him. So he first of all awakens with a dream. You can't be an entrepreneur if you don't have a dream. You can be a good businessman, or you can be excellent in a managing position or building a company or whatever. But if you don't have a dream, you're not an entrepreneur yet. And then the second thing is that an entrepreneur is a thinker. So basically the dreamer has this amazing dream, and then the thinker comes along, and the thinker knows exactly how to build a structure around the dream. And this structure makes this dream practical and relevant in the market. The third thing is an entrepreneur is a storyteller or a performer. So this character in entrepreneur personality, he performs the dream, and he tells people about the dream. And this performance is so passionate that the people buy into the dream. And if you think of the people, then it comes down to the employees of the business. If the employee can buy into the dream, suddenly they're not going to sit there and watch the clock to go home, but they actually want to be a part of the dream. So if you may be sitting there and your employees is not really putting everything into the business that you want them to put in, maybe you should start to actually share the vision with them. What is the vision for the business? What is the dream for the business? And then when they catch that, you never know what can happen. They can actually start grinding with you to achieve the dream of the business. Also, the clients and the customers, when they buy into the dream, they will be loyal. So they will not go to another competitor or another business to get the product or the service, but they will stay loyal to you because they believe that you have a dream for your business and they want to also be part of that dream. And then the last thing in the entrepreneur personality is a leader. So the leader knows exactly what needs to happen with a dream, with a structure, as well as with a performance, and he takes responsibility and he drives this vision and this business dream into reality. So those are the 4 dimensions of an entrepreneur. So the guy that I selected here, the main entrepreneur for me that stands out in the world is Steve Jobs. So I assume all of you know Steve Jobs. I assume all of you have heard of Steve Jobs. Sorry, I lost you guys there. Alright. There's a bit of an internet failure every now and then, so I apologize for that. Every time that happens, I will just quickly have to get in again. So it's going to take a few seconds and then we should be back live. So if that happens in the future during this webinar again, just note that it will continue in a few seconds. Okay, just to get back to what I was speaking about there, Steve Jobs, for me personally, is probably one of the best entrepreneurs that ever existed. And as you can see in this quote that he has here, it says that have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow know what you truly want to become. So basically, yeah, I just want to urge you guys again to go after your dreams and to go in the direction of your dreams, because that will lead you to your purpose here on earth. And if we can look at all the dimensions of that entrepreneur that I mentioned earlier, you can see exactly in Steve Jobs these traits are manifested. Steve Jobs was a dreamer. In 1982, he basically told his team on a retreat in Hawaii that he had a dream to build a computer the size of a book, and he actually did that with the iPad. So he did realize that dream eventually after many years. The second thing is that Steve Jobs was also a thinker. He was able to build a structure around the dream, and slowly but surely that dream came to reality because there was a proper structure in place that made the dream relevant and practical in the market. Steve Jobs was also an excellent storyteller and performer, especially with the product launches that he did. He was brilliant in that. And then he also had the ability to get the people to buy into the dream. And then the employees would work 14 hours a day because they bought into the dream of Steve Jobs. The customers and the clients basically I know with the iPhone that they set up a camp literally outside the Apple store to be the first in line to get Apple iPhone. So basically they bought into the dream and they were loyal to the dream and they wanted to be first. So that's what drives customers and clients to be camping outside a store for the evening because they want to be first and they buy into the dream. And then lastly, Steve Jobs was the leader as well. He knew what needed to be done to achieve the dream and he did that exceptionally well. Alright, so that is the foundation of entrepreneurship. I hope that you have a better idea of entrepreneurship going forward. And I just want to encourage you guys again, if you were waiting for a sign, this is it. You are an entrepreneur. the question is, what is the dream that is keeping you awake at night? You need to ask that question over and over until you get an answer for that. What industry are you looking at this stage that there is a missing link somewhere that you can fix? Ask yourself that question. What is wrong with the industry, and what can you do to fix that industry? So we're going over now to the importance of a business plan. We will discuss the importance of the business plan as well as the structure of the business plan. Okay, so basically there are a few things that makes a business plan important. The first thing will be planning. You need to plan ahead before you go into a business. That is very important. Benjamin Franklin said that if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. You need to plan and know exactly what you need to do to achieve the dream. So just to get back on the dream of the entrepreneurship, you basically have a dream, and then after that dream has manifested and you know exactly where you're going, you need to build a business model. So it's like a sequence of events and a process that occurs for you to actually get to the end of the planning phase. And then also just practically, if I'm thinking of going to Johannesburg, I need to plan my trip ahead. How many kilometers will it be? Do I want to sleep over or do I not want to sleep over? How many hours will I be driving? Will I need food along the way? Do I need to fill up at various garage or actually fuel stations, etc. So you need to plan ahead of the journey before you just jump in and go in the direction of the journey. So get in the car and know exactly where you're going, and that will make the journey much easier. The second thing that makes a business plan important is the structure. So you have this dream as an entrepreneur, but you now need to build a structure around the dream. And that is actually where you put your thoughts down on paper to start this process and to get the structure in place. So there's the thinker personality of the entrepreneur, and he is putting everything on paper, making sure that it is relevant, practical, and that it can happen. And the last section here at planning will be the preparation. You need to prepare yourself for your business. You need to know the industry. You need to know the competition. You need to be fully prepared to anything that possibly can happen in your business. You need to do worst case scenarios. You need to do best case scenarios. You need to prepare when you want to appoint employees in your business, etc., etc. So that is the first section of the importance of a business plan. The second thing is, and this is probably why most people do a business plan, and that is to apply for funding. So you have this business dream, but you don't have the money to actually make it relevant and practical. Then you have to apply for funding, and to apply for funding, you will need a proper business plan with detailed financials. So as an investor, so you basically go to an investor and you ask them for funding, or you go to the bank, or it will be a private investor. There's institutes as well that assist with investing, and they want to see exactly what's going to happen with your business plan. So the investor has one basic question in mind, and that question is, if I invest in this business, how will I get my money back? They want to know if they're going to get money back, as well as they want to see how they're going to get their money back. They want to know exactly what you're going to do in your business, how you're going to do it, and to whom or who will be the target market that you will approach with your business. They want to see how you're going to make money, as well as how many revenue streams you do have in your business. So they want to know every detail of your business, and they also want to know if you actually thought out this business. And if they go through a business plan, they will see if you thought about the business, or if it's just something that you quickly threw together to get the funding and to get started. And then the business plan will provide them with these answers that they have. The third thing that makes a business plan important is when you're applying for contracts and tenders. So there's various tenders and contracts available in the public and government sectors. When you submit your documents to this contract or tender institute, a business plan will make your case better. So you have a better chance to actually get the tender or the contract if the people that's supplying the tender or the contract can see that you have the finances in your business to actually execute the tender, and also that you have the structure in place and that you have the experience and the capability to execute this tender or contract, that makes it crucial for you to actually give a contract, a business plan when you apply for a contract or a tender. And then lastly, when you're applying at certain national organizations, you do need a business plan. One example of this will be SIRA. SIRA is for security purposes. So if I'm starting a security company and I want to apply for a contract or a tender, I need to be registered with SIRA. That is spelled PSIRA. And with that application to SIRA, you need to hand in a business plan as well. So that is basically the importance of a business plan. Okay, we're going to move over now to the business plan structure that I'm going to go through with you guys here. Okay, so basically the business plan structure, what I did is I'm writing business plans, and I found that many times the business plans are irrelevant and impractical. The reason I say that is due to a lot of stuff in the business plan is being repeated consistently over and over. And one thing that I realized is I spoke with an investor one day, and I asked him, does the investor actually read the business plan? And he told me that there is no ways that an investor goes through a 30 to 40 page business plan and remembers every single thing on the previous pages. So for him, it was actually as sweet and short as possible was best. But there are sometimes investors that want to see that you thought through the business. So they are gonna read through the business plan, and then there's other investors that just want to see the picture. So they want to see the financials of the business plan, and they also want to see how the business is going to operate. That is through flow charts as well as organizational charts, etc. So what I did is I thought about this and I did some research on business plans, and then I went and I actually wrote a new template. And this new template is very sweet and short. It gets to the point quickly, and if it's properly researched by the client, it's probably going to end up between 15 to 20 pages for this business plan. So it's very direct, nothing gets repeated, because I think that is a bit of a waste. And as I sent this template that I set up to various investors and organizations, they said that it was a very good template, which is good. And then I enrolled this into the market. So basically, with the first step, the first section of the business plan, I immediately address the dream of the entrepreneur. So that first section will be why the business has been founded. Then we are looking at, first of all, your business dream. Now, basically, the business dream on this business plan will be defined as the end result, the higher aim, and also why does the world need your business? Why does the world need your business? That is a critical question. The second area will be the vision of your business. Now, vision is very easy if you understand the context correctly. It basically comes down to the picture of the business. So if I think of my business in the future, what will the picture of this business be? What will the business look like? What uniforms will the employees wear? Or how will my offices look? If I think practically and in a picture form, how will the office look, and how will the business deliver the system and also the products and the services that I want it to deliver at the end of the day? The third thing is the purpose of the business. Purpose is all about people. So when I think of the purpose of my business, it basically comes down to the client and the customers. What will they get out of my business? How will my solution serve them and actually make their lives better? The second thing is the employees of the business. So if I'm not serving my employees, and if they're not happy in the job that they are doing, then something is wrong. Then you need to address that. So your business also has a very important purpose when it comes to employees. And then lastly, the shareholders as well. How will my business benefit the shareholders? Will the shareholders get the profit out of the business that they expect to get? etc. Alright, so then after that, there is the business mission. And the business mission is basically the fact that it is the goals of the business. So how will the business achieve the dream, the vision, the purpose? What steps and plans of action is in place to step by step get closer to the business dream? So that's where I address the purpose. And then later on in the business plan, I do have a table where I break every step down. So it comes down to 4 phases. I believe there are 4 growing phases for every business that they go through. The first phase will be the basic start of the business. And then I'll list 3 aspects at this stage. The first one is the key accomplishment. What will be the key accomplishment that makes this business now successfully in the first phase as a basic startup? What will the timeline be? And also, what will your plan of action be to achieve the first phase? Then it goes on to the second phase, which is advanced growth, the third phase, which is mature growth, and the fourth phase, which is franchising. Now, even if you're not going to franchise your business, I still will encourage you to set your business up as properly as a franchise that you even could franchise the business up to 1,000 times, because that means that all the systems are in place and the business is running properly. If you can franchise a business, it means that everything is in place and it's running properly. And then at every one of these phases of growth, there is 3 questions that I basically give an answer to, which is, what is the key accomplishment for this phase of growth? In what timeline do I look to achieve this phase? And then lastly, what steps of action needs to be taken to achieve this? And together, this produces the mission of the business. And that mission will eventually lead to the purpose, the vision, and the dream being fulfilled of the business. And then lastly, there is the business values. This basically just gives an answer to what the values of the business will be, what will be the foundation and the moral value that you will set your business on. Will it be integrity, honesty, excellent customer service? It could even be all 3 of those values. Just interesting, Apple, what Steve Jobs did at Apple is he took all the values of the company, the innovation and the creative thoughts and the dream of the company, and the marketing was directly linked to this vision, to this dream, as well as the values of the company. And that made it easier for him to get people to buy into the dream, because the marketing addressed the dream directly. So that's just a tip for marketing. If you want people to buy into the dream, your marketing needs to align with a dream that is worthwhile. Okay, that is the first section of the business plan setup. The second section is the business model. Now, the business model basically comes down to how is your business going to make money? How is your business going to do what it's supposed to do? All the systems involved is also important. Alright, so first of all, we have the industry of the business. You need to describe at this section to the investor what industry you're operating in. So this is not merely the property industry, or the business services industry. That's not good enough. A lot of people that I send questionnaires to out there, they just come back with answers like property. So property tells me nothing. Property tells the investor nothing, and that simple word that you write there actually tells me that you didn't even do research on the industry. Now, if you don't know the industry, there is absolutely no way you're going to build a successful business. It just goes without saying. I don't think I have to explain that. You need to do research and prepare on the industry. And maybe the investor doesn't know anything about the industry. So you may be knowing the industry quite well, setting up the business plan. But when you give that business plan to the investor, he's going to say, well, property, I don't know that industry. And there's nothing here to support that, or actually support the business plan to show that there is a gap in the market. So you have to do your research properly with the industry description. The second thing is revenue streams. This is very important. This addresses the main question that the investor has in mind, which is, how will I get my money back? that equals the fact of the matter to say, how will this business make money? How many revenue streams will they have that will produce money for this business? So a revenue stream is all the channels that you have in your business that can produce income. It can be your product, it can be an additional service, it can be property that you are renting out on your office, and then also it can be probably a very good residual income will be the best revenue stream that you can set up in your business. That is, for instance, if you provide a service for a client and there's a debit order on his account that brings in money every month, that will probably be a great aspect to add in the business plan that will give the investor some reinsurance with his funding. The third section will be the products and the services. So this basically describes a detailed summary of exactly what the product is, exactly what the service is that you're going to offer in your business. That needs to be listed quite clearly for the investors. The next section is the operations system, and again, when I send out my questionnaires and I ask the guys to fill in the questionnaires, this is probably a section that I normally never get an answer on. It is simple systems in place. They can't explain the system in place to actually get the operations of the company going. So at the operations, there are three vital systems that needs to be explained. The first one is, if you think of a business, lead generation. You need to be able to generate leads. That is a fancy word for marketing. So what is your marketing plan? What is your marketing system? With the marketing, you need to consistently produce leads for your business. So the investor wants to know exactly what is the systems in place that will produce you consistent leads for the business. The second step, or the second system that is vital, is the sales system. So after the marketing campaign produces leads, what are you going to do to convert these leads into sales? And there's a specific system that needs to be in place that explains the sales of the business and how that will operate. And then the third vital system there will be the operations system. So the operations, critical. After the marketing is done and the leads are generated and you make the sale on the client, how do you consistently without fault deliver your service and your product to the client? So that needs to be explained as well. So those are the three critical systems that need to be in place when you set up a business plan and go to investor for funding. The next section there at the business model will be the target market. Now also, this is where you need to do some research in your community, on the website, on the internet, etc. Or sorry, on the website and internet. You need to do proper research on your target market. So the target market is exactly who will you target with your product or your service. Will it be the baby boomers? Will it be young people, children, or parents with children? Who will the market be that you are targeting with your service or your product? What is the age of the market? It can be all ages. It can be 20 to 30-year-olds. It can be children under 18. You need to be specific with that. The location of the market. Are you going to do business in Gauteng? Are you going to do business in Johannesburg or in Cape Town or even in a small town? Important stuff here with the target market. And then lastly, what is the main marketing stream to reach this target market that you are or that you actually have in mind to target? What is the main marketing stream? So those are the sections of the target market. The next section is the competitive advantage. Now, a lot of people with the competitive advantage provides the following answer, where they actually just say, my competitive advantage will be a better price and a better service. Well, if you're a small business and you say I'm going to have a better price than a bigger organization, the bigger organization, what they're going to do is they're going to drop their prices temporarily until you're out of business, and then they're going to increase the prices again. So that is not good enough for a competitive advantage. The competitive advantage is the fact that will make your business unique. Now, every investor has the question that basically says, why will the customer or the client come to your business and not your competitor? that is the main question you have to ask when you need to, or when you want to prove that your competitive advantage is better than the competitors. You need to say what makes you unique. Okay, the next section is the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is critical when it comes to funding. Every investor goes through the financials and also the SWOT analysis probably first. They first will go through those sections to see if it's worth their while to even continue reading the business plan. So the SWOT analysis basically addresses your strengths. As you can see there, you've got SWOT. The S is for the strength of the business, that is internal to the business. The W is the weakness of the business, that is internal to the business as well. The O stands for opportunity, that is external to the business, and the T is for threats, which is also external to the business. So you need to answer these questions. So what I normally do at this stage of the business plan is I have a table where I've got strengths and weaknesses next to each other and opportunities and threats. And under those headings, there's a few questions. I'm not going to go through the questions because there are quite a few, but it basically just proves what is the strength of your business, what is the weakness of your business, what is the opportunity for the business, and what is the threat for the business. Also, I've got a SWOT analysis here. If the person I'm writing a business plan for did proper research, then I can compare the strength, the weakness, the opportunity, and the threat for your company directly next to your competitors, which makes it quite easy for the investor to read through. So it basically is one table, and in the first column, you've got your strength, your weakness, your opportunity, and your threat. The second column will consist of your company, and then the next few columns is your competitors. So the investor can see exactly next to each other what is the strength and the weaknesses versus your competitors, and what makes you better than your competitors. Then basically below the business model, we move on to the revenue stream table. So this is a very simple table. You can actually Google this as well. It's a very simple table just to prove to the investor how many revenue streams you do have. On this table, I project the percent on return for your business, the predictability and the risk of the business, the total percentage of the business income. So for instance, if you have two streams, one will produce 60% income, the other one will produce 40% income. And then lastly, recurring versus once-off. Recurring revenue stream is always much better than a once-off revenue stream. Just keep that in mind when you work out revenue streams for your company. The next section will be the organizational chart. Now the organizational chart addresses all the positions and all the employees in the company. So that can give an excellent idea for an investor that does not want to read through the business plan, but only want to see pictures. If he looks at this picture, he will know exactly what systems are in place as well as what employees and positions are in place, which can give him a good idea of how the business will operate. The next diagram is operations flow chart. It basically consists of 3 steps. It's the 3 critical operation systems that I addressed earlier, which is the marketing system, the sales system, as well as the operations system. So our operations diagram here that goes through every step, and it is a flow chart that shows the investor exactly what the flow of the business will be, which also gives him a good idea, or can give him a good idea of the operations system if he compares that with the organizational chart. The next one is the mission chart. I also spoke about this earlier. So that's just breaking up the steps and the goals of the business into practical, like a visual picture for the investor to look at. So he can take a look and see exactly what the key accomplishment is, what is the time frame, what is the action steps, and what is the status to reach those key accomplishments. All right, and then next is the general information. This is something that's not so important, but it actually is necessary for the guys if you want to be allocated. So at the general information, you answer easy questions such as the history of the business, what legal entity type is the business, the registration number, bank details, income tax number, VAT number, website link, main contact person, as well as the address of the business. Below that, there's another section for ownership. So you've got the compliance details and then the ownership details, just to show the investor or the bank who the owner of the business is. That includes the ID number, the gender, as well as the age, which can give them a pretty good idea of your range of experience with your business. And then lastly, of the structure of the business will be the financial plan. Now this is when you're applying for funding, the most important part of your business plan. Many investors out there actually go straight to the financials to see if they're going to get their money back, and then they decide if they're going to invest or not invest in this business. So proper financials is critical for the investor to look at. So you've got three sections there. The first one is if the business already has a history, if you've been trading for a year or two and you want to expand your business but you don't have the capacity financially, then the first section will be your current financial statement. Now that consists of your cost of sales, your income and expenses, your profit and loss statement, balance sheet, cash flow, as well as a personnel plan. Now, I assume if you are 1 or 2 years operating and you do have current financials, that you do have an accountant, I would then advise that you address or ask the accountant to set up proper financial statement to show exactly what's going on in the business. The second part is then the funding. So you want to apply for funding, and then you need to address the following aspects. It is what amount of money are you looking for, the loan amount, the annual interest rate that you are prepared to pay back the loan, the term of the loan, would it be 30 months, 60 months, or 120 months, and then also the monthly rate, the payment plan, the total amount payable after the interest has been added, and then many investors and banks actually are looking for security options. So they want to know what in return can you offer them if you can't pay the money back. So think to add that as well with the funding questions that you answer there. And then the last section there is the 5-year financial projection. This is just a projection according to your market and your sales research, as well as the industry research. This is only a projection, but this can show the investor that you thought through the business plan. There's a plan in action to get the money back and to pay his loan back. So the 5-year financial projections are critical when it comes to setting up this business plan. Okay, so that concludes the structure of the business plan as well as the importance of the business plan. And then lastly, just to finish off this webinar, the basic, or actually we set up a special offer for everyone tuned in here today who wants to set up a business plan and a company registration. So my advice will always be, when you're looking to start a business, to register a company and then also get the share certificate and the tax number in place. So when your company is registered at CIPC, remember that the directors and the shareholders have two different responsibilities in the business. That's why you need to set up an additional share certificate after the company is registered. And then also SARS will give you an automatic tax number if your company is registered at CIPC. We can do that verification for you also. And then the business plan as well. So this is the professional layout of a business plan. I will send a questionnaire from my side, and then the client fills in the questionnaire, he's doing his research, and then sends that back to me where I set up the business plan for him. So we've got that package where it is together you're looking at 4,990 Rand. That is a special of 675 Rand. If you are interested in this special, you can send me an email. My email address I see is not on here, but you can just take a note. It is Brent, that is BREND, at companypartners.co.za. .co.za. I'm going to type that in here as well, so you can just take a note there and then send me an email if you're interested in this offer. Okay, so there is my email address for anyone interested in this. Okay, so now we're heading over to the questions and answers section. If there's any questions and answers, you guys can type it now here at the chat column, and then I can just give you an answer regarding that. So you guys can go ahead with the questions. I see there are some questions here. I'm going to quickly run through here just to see if it's been answered or not. Okay, so I can't see any questions yet. Yes, a few coming in. Business plan. Okay, so I've got a question here. Is business plan and company profile the same? The answer to that is no. The company profile is like a presentation of your business, which is a much shorter version of your business plan. So a company profile, for instance, doesn't include a proper financial set out or layout for your business, whereas a business plan goes in depth into a 5-year financial projection for your business plan as well as financials. A business plan also is much more thorough than a company profile. However, when you, for instance, have a business and you're going to a meeting to market your company, then I would suggest that you use a company profile, which is 5 to 7 pages more or less, and gives the guy that you market your company to a quick idea of exactly what you do. But business plans are for funding in most instances, whereas a company profile will not be viable for funding. Okay, I see there Francois also asked a question. You are able to download the slides, yes. We can send that to you after the webinar is finished. Okay, is there any further questions out there at this stage or not really? Okay, I've got one here. What happens if the business is new and doesn't have many fixed assets yet? Okay, so that is not a train smash. Basically, then your research becomes critical. Because the business doesn't exist yet, you need to have excellent research that will convince the investor that you know exactly what you're talking about. And that's also where the 5-year projection will come into play. So that's where you're going to prepare and you're going to say, according to my market research, this should be the financial projection that we're looking at over 5 years. So that is not a big problem. But I would just suggest there that you do proper research regarding your business. And the other fact is, if you are looking for funding, but if you're not looking for funding, that question is not applicable at all. Okay, I hope that answered that question. Second question, can we perhaps get an example of a submitted business plan? Okay, so I will just have to speak to the company, and it will probably not be a business plan that I've done yet because that is confidential information. I can probably look maybe to send a template for the business plan. So yeah, so you can maybe just take my email address, Francois, and then we can communicate regarding that question you have there. Okay, the next question I see here, has anyone used the Cerebrit business plan app? I'm not sure what that refers to. I personally have not used that yet. So that is to answer that question. We actually do have funders that we are in partnership with. I just need to make sure Yeah, we actually can assist you with that. I see that's a question from Patience. I would suggest that you maybe send me an email, and then I can connect you with a possible funder. We do have an organization that is a partner of company partners that focus specifically on funding. So it's a very easy process to see if you can qualify for the funding or not. So I would there recommend to actually just send me an email, Patience, and then I can take it further from there. Okay, so there's my email address again. Okay, 100%, no problem, Patience. Okay, I think that concludes our webinar for today. If there's any, okay, yeah, the slides will be sent. If you need them afterwards, you can just send me an email. So I just want to put it clearly. The slides are available. You can send me an email. My email address is on the chat box. You can send me an email and I can send you the slides for this presentation. And now you do have my email address. If there's any further questions that you have regarding the business plan, or if you want the special offer from company partners or any other service, you can just send me an email and we can take it from there. Thank you guys for tuning in. I believe that you learned something regarding entrepreneurship as well as business plans. And it was a privilege to give this webinar to you guys.